What I can say is that moving sucks. Hey, welcome back to the Outdoor Guitar Show. Today I have a special guest, not him. I got the chance to interview Aaron from Curly's Jewels recently and had a fantastic conversation with him. Make sure you catch Aaron and Curly's Jewels September 28th at Lovelands, and look for their new single being released on the 18th of October, a single called Deluded.
Aaron.
Hello, how are you?
How are you, sir?
Oh, I'm very well, thank you.
Yeah, nice to meet you virtually.
Yes, yeah. No, man, thanks for having me. Been looking forward to it.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's this is the first one I've done when it's been night out. So So yeah, it's been fun to make sure I have like lights that aren't making me look like I'm in some kind of horror film.
Classic. Looks good, man. Looks good.
Yeah. Hey, thanks again for joining. I really appreciate this. Your name's come up a few times during some of the interviews, as well as the band has come up multiple times. So it's been fun to check you guys out and see how things are going and what you're up to. Yeah. So I take it you've had a chance to see some of the other shows.
Yeah. I've watched Glenn's and Simon's.
Nice.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Those dudes.
Yeah.
I know them pretty well from over the years. So great people.
Fantastic. Yeah. So this is basically an open conversation. I've got some few questions to kick off our conversation, but the whole goal of this is to get to know you and hear a little bit about the band and your experience here playing guitar and being in bands in New Zealand. So yeah, thanks for that. If you have anything you want to inject at any point in time, by all means, just stop me. And you're the reason we're here. So yeah, we want to hear from you. I'll actually kick this off by asking you, how did you actually get started playing guitar? Like what drew you to it, and what was the first epiphany you had?
Yeah. So I grew up in a musical family. My mum is a music teacher. So we grew up in Hawke's Bay. My brother and I, he's a really good drummer as well. So we kind of just grew up with a sort of a studio environment with mum teaching and dad playing the stereo pretty loud. So and then I guess mum taught piano, and I didn't really start guitar until I was probably about 14 or 15 years old.
Okay.
And I think it all came as a combination of the whole grunge scene. Sort of at that age when Nirvana was really big, and Pearl Jam, and all of those really cool sort of Seattle bands, and that kind of got me really into it. But I guess previous to that, I was listening to stuff like when Dad was playing stuff like Deep Purple and Jimi Hendrix, some of the classic rock bands. So I've sort of been brought up with it.
That's great. That's fantastic. I actually was gonna say I've in listening to your stuff, I can hear some of the grunge influences kind of filtering through in some of the tunes. But I also hear, and you can correct me if I'm wrong on this one, but I hear some more prog rock style stuff filtering through some of the music as well. I mean, obviously it varies from song to song, which is good. But I've noticed that as well. I just wanted to kind of pick your brain on whether or not there was any kind of prog rock influence that has filtered into some of the music that you write.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I've never really been a massive prog rock sort of fan per se. Like that hasn't sort of influenced my guitaring too much. But I do like songs which have a bit of complexity to them. So, I mean, even stuff like the old school Metallica stuff, those big 9-minute Master of Puppets kind of stuff, and stuff like Tool. They're probably the bands as far as I'd go for prog sort of sounds, but just because they've got that real awesome complex arrangements for my head anyway.
That checks out. Because I can definitely hear some of those influences in there as well. What's your current go-to rig when you guys are playing out?
Basically, I've gone from a Marshall stack. I had well, I've still got a DSL 50, which is it's a 1 in 500 released head. It's a Jim Marshall 80th anniversary, so it's amazing. It's such a cool head. So I've taken that on the road over the years, and that's my go-to studio head that I use. But up until probably about 2 years ago, I've gone to modeling. Okay. So so I use an amp modeler, and then but I just basically dial in my Marshall tones into that rig. It's just got a lot more scope for me to have a consistent sound, and I'm going to add a heck of a lot more sort of effects into that, just subtly, rather than bringing or taking a giant pedal board with me. So but what I can do as well, if we're playing a bigger stage, I've just got a little power amp, so I can run my modeler front of house and then have a power amp going into a 4x12 cab on stage, which we also mic up as well, just to give a bit more chunk, because we're pretty much a one guitar band. Yeah, that's generally the sort of the amp side of things. But
nice.
Guitars I use a mix of Schecter and Gibson.
Oh, nice. Very nice.
Yeah.
I was to say, I know I've seen at least both of those types of guitars in the videos, so they're quite prominent and stand out, so that's nice. And I get the modeler part. It's quite a bit lighter and easy to throw in a bag too. It's just been kind of the common theme, as I've been hearing from people a lot. So,
definitely, man.
Yeah, I just picked up. I blame Simon for this, but I picked up a Jansen 100 watt amp yesterday, and that somebody was trying to offload, and I have a specific purpose in mind for it. And after moving it, we have about 5 flights of stairs from the front door to the garage. So
wow. The old back would be feeling that.
Oh, the amount of iron in the thing is glorious, but also also heavy. So
definitely. I'll bet it sounds nice though.
I don't know yet, and it needs servicing. So I'm looking forward to actually doing that. That's going to be a lot of fun.
Totally.
I'm a total electronics nerd, so that'll be entertaining at the very least. So you said the DSL you use in studio still, or do you use? Okay.
Yeah. So we've been recording. We just completed an album last year, which we recorded in a few different studios. We sort of did it over a period of a few years, basically. So we recorded up at Roundhead Studios, down in Wellington, at the surgery. We've been at the lab. So I used that head consistently throughout. At one session I borrowed the guys from Alien Weaponry's DSLs, because they run the same heads as what I did. And I think it was the Datsuns, we borrowed one of their heads as well for one of the sessions. So but generally it's the Marshall theme. And we also split that with a Vox AC30, so we run them parallel, and that's where we sort of get that sort of fatter sound in the studio. Yeah.
So is there a reason you don't use the modeler? Is it just a different sound, different venue, different ease of use, different where is that difference lie?
I think for recording, I just love that big tube sound. We can really, you can sort of drive it a lot more than what a modeler can do. I haven't tried a modeler in studio before. I'm sure people can make them sound amazing. But the producer, our producer's called Greg Haver, and he's really awesome. He's sort of quite internationally recognized. He's produced like Manic Street Preachers and Bullet for My Valentine and things, and he's a really good ear for us. So he loves his old school amps and does all of that analog kind of stuff. So, and we just trust his judgment. So I'm not sure what he'd think if I brought a modeler into the studio. But we totally go away.
I totally understand that. That makes sense. So what was your first guitar and amplifier?
My first guitar, I think it was a Blue Aria Pro, just a real beginner kind of guitar. And I think it was like a Strat copy, basically. And I think the amp was do you remember those? They were Marshall Parks. I think it was, yeah. It was one of those. It was a 25 watt Marshall. Yeah. And so, I think Mum always says to me, man, I got sick of you playing like Highway to Hell by AC/DC just over and over and over and over again in my bedroom. So, but yeah, that got me started though. It was, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. Is there a guitar or amplifier that you feel like got away that you wish you had back, kind of thing?
I've had so many guitars over the years. One that does stick out is that I had a pink Fender Strat, a Paisley pink, yeah, and it was epic. And I sold it to one of my mates years and years ago, and I'm still bugging him to sell it back to me. It didn't even, I mean, it doesn't sound amazing, but it was just such a cool guitar, and it had a real history behind it. And yeah, but I mean, you know, he's getting enjoyment from it, so hey, you know, it is what it is. But that's, yeah, I mean, I see guitars mainly as like a tool of the trade, and like I used to play Strats like all the time right up until about 10 years ago, and then it sort of switched to sort of like Gibsons and the sort of the more humbucker kind of style guitars for the style of music that we play with curlies.
Yeah, very nice. Is there any new ish or tech on the horizon that really excites you that involves guitars and amplification?
I think that the modeler stuff is just progressing wildly. There's some really cool stuff coming out in that space, and like the IRs and the you know, I can put my Marshall up against my modeler and play it through a massive PA, and I would struggle to tell the difference. I think Simon, who you had on your show, Boutique, Bogan Boutique Amps, he said to me once he saw one of my shows and said, hey, it just sounds like a recorded Marshall, you know, your sound. So I was like, man, coming from him was pretty cool. So he's a hardcore amp man. So and there's a lot of AI stuff coming out in the amp modeling space too, like being able to predict your playing and like to understand how hard you hit the strings, and then it'll basically do the EQing for you in the modeler as you're playing. So that's pretty out there, but
yeah, that's pretty sick. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So I know you talked about Strats and moving towards more of the humbucker style guitars. So what is it that you really look for in a guitar? Like if you're playing a guitar and you're trying to, let's say you're shopping for a new guitar, I'm always curious to hear what people think about and especially you can point it towards the type of music they're currently playing. What would be the things that you'd be looking for specifically?
Yeah, I think at the moment, definitely humbuckers, 100%, and sort of the shorter scale necks. So they'd be like that sort of that Les Paul stand, sort of style guitar. I think is probably the best for me at the moment. We also play half step down at C sharp, so it's drop D, half step down. So it needs to be able to handle the sort of a fatter scale strings, like play up to like 54 gauge 1154s. So that'll be the main sort of things that I'd be looking for. At the moment, I've been using Glenn's pickups as well. So he's all of our guitars have Glenn pickups in there. We use the Cloud Nines and the Les Pauls, and got a Schecter Telecaster with a got in it. It's got a Cruel Mistress in the bridge and a Sassy P90 in the neck. So that sounds real nice. But yeah, man. So yeah, pickups is a big thing. But I'd always be going to Glenn to for him to give me advice on what would be best. But yeah, he just built me a custom set, actually, a really awesome with it, because I'm really into aviation. Like I love planes and all that kind of stuff.
That's the one with the little paper airplane on it.
Yeah, bro. Yeah.
I saw those. Those are great. Those are amazing.
Yeah, man. Yeah. I haven't wound them up yet. I'm just getting one of my guitar tech mates to wire them in tomorrow, actually. So really looking forward to giving that a whirl.
Yeah, I'm pretty tardy on getting the three that I got from him in the triple humbucker guitar that I have. But I'll get there.
Nice.
Too many projects.
Yeah, man.
And here I just bought an amp that needs servicing, and I can't wait to do that too. One day. I just hope I'm not one of those people that I actually wind up buying some of these things from her. Like, I've had too many projects for the last 30 years. Here, somebody take it. Like, please let that not be me. But yeah, for sure. And I think amplifiers, I was going to ask you the same question about amps, but it sounds like really you're going for that Marshall style tone.
Yeah, I just love the rawness of a Marshall, but they can clean up really nicely as well. So we actually did a tour at the beginning of this year with a band called Black Smoke Trigger, and we did a whole run of shows with them. And I actually took my Marshall head on that tour and gave that a whirl and just like drove it with a SD1. And it sounded so wicked. It was cool. It was really refreshing. But man, it was just the mission to lug it around. So, but no, but the modeler is certainly the way to go for touring. We'll find. Yeah.
And I guess the amp being the amp that you have and its rarity, it might be a little more nerve wracking to yeah.
Oh, totally, man. Yeah. I mean, I've used it. Like I could have like kept it hidden away in a cupboard and just had it real pristine. But I mean, it's got road dings all over it, and it sounds amazing. And Simon services it, so he knows that really well too, and keeps it in really nice condition, sound wise. So yeah,
that's great. That's fantastic. What outdoor artists are you listening to these days?
Oh man, heaps. Like just.
I know it's always hard to pin one down, but any of them down. So yeah. Yeah,
I mean, I'd like to listen to the bands that we tour with. This year in particular, with bunch. We did a sort of a headline tour. We went down to Christchurch and played with some local Christchurch bands, and that was really fun. Never heard their music played live before, so it was really refreshing. And played up at the Globe Theatre in Palmy and played with a couple of local bands up there as well, and it was cool, man. There's the energy there, and that's what I really enjoy. And obviously I mentioned Black Smoke Trigger. Those guys are just been touring with Bruce Dickinson all over Europe, doing massive big shows, and those guys are just insanely epic musicians and really nice guys as well. So, and I think that the key for me and the band is that we just gig with really nice people, like the music, we're all musicians, we all play guitar, we all play really cool songs or whatever, but if the people aren't right for the mix of the tour or whatever, it doesn't really work. But we find that most people are really, really down to earth and lovely people in the rock scene in NZ. So yeah.
Very nice. Anybody you'd recommend me listening to?
I mean, we've got my good mates up in Auckland called Caridian. They're a really, really, really cool band. They've got some amazing songs and just really good people, as I say. And there's so many. Just trying to think. I don't know. I've got a list probably as long as my arm, man. But
all good.
Yeah.
They're on my list, by the way. So
they are awesome.
I'll give them a shout here soon. So that'd be really good.
Yeah.
So I was going to ask, what band do you think, either historically or even currently, do you think is like one band that's kind of unheard of globally and underrated from Aotearoa that you believe should be out at the forefront, if you have an idea? And like I said, that could be a past band that's come and gone, or somebody who's still currently active.
I think
Curly's Jewels is an acceptable answer, I get it, but
oh man, no, I can't put our name in there, bro.
I will, that's fine.
Thank you. I guess one of the bands that really blew me away when I first came down to Wellington, sort of in the early 2000s, was Weta. I remember seeing they did a show at the Wellington Town Hall, which I think it was Shehead and Fur Patrol. And Aaron Tokona was on guitar, and I think they were the first band on it, and he just absolutely blew me away by how epic he was singing and playing guitar, and just that he had this swagger about him, and it was just man, these guys should just be global way. They were just so good and just epic. And that'll always stick with me. I think I've seen so many bands over the years, but I'll always remember seeing that image of him at this town hall at the town hall, just like, man, with this, I can't remember what guitar he had, but he's just like amazing.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, and I guess they did have a little bit of an international splash, didn't they?
Yeah, I think they did. They did went like to Australia and stuff, and they may have gone over to the States. I'm not sure. But but they had some great songs, man. They were just so good.
Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah, they've been in my playlist for a while. So it's been fun to listen to some of that stuff and catch up on things that I'd missed. So that's good.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite venue to play somewhere across the Motu?
Just trying to think. Would be one of our favourite venues is our home base in Porirua, a place called Lovelands. It's like an underground rock venue, and it's almost kind of like a music club, but it's such a cool vibe. It started out like we've been there for like 10 years, and it started out just in this little shed with this tiny non-existent stage with a car parked in the middle of this garage, and now it's in this fully fledged venue, like lighting, stage, everything. It sounds real mint. And
cameras,
cameras, they do the video. So we rehearse there every Monday night. So, so we basically rehearse in gig mode. So if the light's going, we're basically doing our show when we're rehearsing. So it's just so much fun. That would be my favourite of all time. But there's heaps of other cool venues around the place. Like we'd recently played up at Paisley Lounge up in Napier for the first time, and that was really fun. Such a cool little, awesome, vibey little place. And yeah, man, Wellington's got heaps. There's Valhalla. That's always a cool place to play. And oh man, it's heaps.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, thanks. Yeah, that's good stuff. One day I'll make it down to Lovelands.
Oh man, hit us up. We'll give you a tour.
Yeah, fantastic. Yeah, that would be great. I was just going to ask if you had a favorite way to record your sound, like all the studios that you've been in. Has there been anything that's kind of struck you as like, wow, that the way that's mic'd up, or the way that's been set up, or that sounds really cool? Is there anything specific around that you have noted?
I think, the whole Marshall sort of with the Vox AC30 recording at the same time, it just sounds so fat. And then Greg, when we're doing rhythm tracks, he'll quad them, so it just sounds so thick, and it's just this massive sound, man. But also he's a whiz. Greg's a whiz with pedals. So with our album, like, everyone thinks we use keyboards, but we haven't got played one keyboard ever live or recording. It's all done with like sort of pogs and delays and all sorts of stuff, and he's able to sort of create these amazing sounds. I'll just sit in there and say, play a G chord, and I'll play it, and it'll sound like this massive synthesizer, like in this giant church. So that's always fun when the pedals come out.
I was gonna say, did I see you actually playing through one of those in a video recently?
I might have, yeah.
I thought there was a short clip of you doing that. So there was. That's right. Yeah. That was at that was the Brick Room up in Roundhead Studio. Okay. Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. It's funny to me because it kind of seems like the opposite of what the Wax Chattels have going on, where they're playing keyboards, but you'd be hard pressed to not figure out that it's a keyboard instead of a guitar, because it's
exactly.
Yeah, that's really cool. Yeah. So let's call it chasing the tone that you've probably always heard in your head. What's the closest you've actually gotten?
The closest
is that like your Marshall DSL 50?
It would be.
Yeah.
And I think, when it's studio-fied, if that's a word.
Sure.
Yeah, I think a song that one of our singles called Criminal, it's it's got this real kind of thick kind of rhythm guitar tone in there, and that's sort of like, I think is sort of my sound.
That's it. Yeah.
And I'd like to keep recreating that.
Nice.
Yeah, I think, but that's with the help of a lot of really cool sort of kit in a world-renowned studio. So I don't know if I can pull that off live, but our sound man Ray, he's really amazing. He does a lot of our stuff front of house, so he does a lot of my guitar stuff when I'm not actually playing it, if you know what I mean. Like he'll be doing my levels, doing my boosts, he'll be doing, so that sort of takes that away, so I don't have to do that live.
Yep.
So he knows my guitar sound better than I do.
Nice. Very nice. If you could make one recommendation to your younger guitar playing self as you were coming up, what would it be?
Probably to go to more shows, go and see more bands. I think when I was growing up, I probably, but living in Hastings, there wasn't like the big scenes that there are, like in the big cities and things. So
yeah,
I think my first concert was Pearl Jam in '95, and that was a bit of an eye opener up in Auckland. That was epic. So I'm actually taking my 14-year-old son to Pearl Jam up in Auckland this year. So
nice.
And he's so it's almost like the same age when I first saw them. So
yeah,
it's pretty epic. Yeah. But no, definitely go to more music.
Yeah, I was super fortunate to catch them on the 10 tour.
Oh wow!
And they were the opening act for another the middle band was another unheard of band at the time called Smashing Pumpkins.
Oh wow! And
the headliners were much more well known, Red Hot Chili Peppers. So that was a pretty crazy gig. But,
man, that would have been epic, right in their heyday.
Yeah, that was. Speaking of shows, do you all have some upcoming gigs?
We're pretty much focusing on we're doing some recording in August, so we're in songwriting mode at the moment.
So new stuff coming, yeah.
And then once we get that sort of all solidified, we've got some shows sort of planned for later in the year. So we're looking at doing a bit of a short little tour in November, sort of December, and then see what we can land over the summertime. But we'll sort of have that process of we'll record or write, record, do shows and sometimes we might like do the odd gig in between. But so generally it'll be the end of the year that we start to kick off our live stuff again.
Very nice. Yeah. How is the writing coming for the new stuff?
Oh yeah, it's getting there. We're only doing 2 tracks. We've got one pretty much in the bag, and we've got one sort of idea floating around that we kind of have to come up with some demos in the next sort of 4 weeks. So it's a bit of a crunch, but that's how we work the best, I think. It's like we've got a time frame. It's like, oh shit, we better get our asses into gear.
Yeah. I had a friend once who always used to share with me the concept of if you wait to the last minute, it only takes a minute. So
I like that.
Yeah. So you could use that as a mantra. So
man,
sure.
I love it.
So who in all of the world, if you could, would you most like to open for? And I know it's kind of open for or play with on stage, let's say.
Ooh. Yeah, it'd be nice to get a Pearl Jam opening slot.
Yeah.
They're kind of like my all-time favorite. I mean, I've got tons of favorites, but at the end of the day, I'll always come back to Pearl Jam.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah. Big time.
Cool. Yeah. Yeah, that's good stuff. Hilariously, I have run out of questions, but that's okay. We can continue to chat.
Good, man.
Yeah. So how often do you all make it up to Auckland?
Not all that often. Well, it has been kind of sort of once a year to do recording stuff. But our recording this year, we'll be doing that at the new studio at Massey in Wellington. Apparently, it's got an amazing live room for drums. So our producer Greg, he's a drummer, so I think it's tickled his fancy that we do a session there. So yeah, man. But we need to get up to Auckland to do a live show. It's been a couple of years since we've done a gig up there, so it'd be nice to head back up and do some stuff there.
Very cool.
Big time. Yeah.
I will hold you to that. So
man, do it.
I will hold you to it. I was gonna say I think it had to do with the studios. So is there a particular studio that you favor, and is there a reason why, or is there something about one of the studios that you've recorded in that kind of drew you to it to have a better experience?
The first sort of studio for our record, we was at Roundhead We played the upstairs room, and that was really amazing. But the following 2 sessions, we went to the brick room. That's the one downstairs, and that for me has got a far cooler vibe. You're sort of like tucked away, and it's a bit smaller, and it's nice and enclosed, and it for me just felt a bit more it gave me a bit more sort of rock vibes. And so yeah, that would be my favorite studio
Nice.
that I recorded in.
Nice.
Yeah.
So when y'all record, do you do individual tracks for instruments and parts, or do you do any live, like everybody in a room kind of recording?
We do the sort of track by track. So it's like we do a demo scratch track, and then just part by part. Instrument by instrument. Yeah.
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 And so I know you said you're typically using a lot of modeling right now. What effects do you typically have on tap for ready to go?
Yeah, I try to keep it quite simple. So generally, it'll mirror what I would have on a live, like an analog board, with pedals. So generally, it's it'd be the guitar, obviously tuner into like an 808. Just for a bit of boost. With the mod, I mean, I can add in like noise gates and a bit of compression, which I don't have on my actual pedal board. But yeah, generally that's about it. Bit of delay, bit of chorus if needed, and then straight into a JCM 800 sim through a 4x12 cab sim. So yeah,
Nice.
yeah, easy, nice and
Yeah, that is pretty easy. Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Yeah. I'm not quite like we were lucky enough to open for Live in Colour at one of their Wellington concerts that they did a couple of years ago.
Nice. Yeah.
And, we were like, Vernon Reid's one of my favourite guitarists of all time, and we're just like blown away to actually have the opportunity to support them. And we were at soundcheck, and we were just playing a few chords, and then we looked up and he's standing right in front of us, like no one else and it's like, oh my god, he's like one of my guitar heroes here, and we're like playing like G, D, E. It was like, oh my god, it was hilarious. But when they play, his pedal board is gigantic, right? It's like there must be, oh god, there's like, it seems like hundreds of pedals in this giant big like sphere on stage, but they don't, because he's got that, they don't move their pedals like at all. So like the support bands have to go on, and like I'm standing in this tiny little spot on the stage, it's surrounded by Vernon's pedals, trying to playing guitar, and it was just like, oh my god, I can't trip over and land on his pedals.
Yeah.
It's just like, oh my god, we're going to be booted off the stage. Yeah.
Well, it'd be a good story at the very least. So
yeah.
Do you remember that one time?
Yeah. Such good people though. They were like you guys are like a family, man. And we still stay in touch with Vernon today. Like he's
nice.
Still contacts us, and so it's amazing to he's just another cool human. Just say that's what it's all about.
Yeah, that's very cool.
Yeah.
Do you guys have either plans or aspirations to play elsewhere? And if so, where would you most like to play?
I think for us the next stepping stone would be to do some shows in Australia. That's always sort of been on the bucket list for us. It's just sort of getting the timing right, and making sure that we got enough of a dent in New Zealand first. For me, it's I'd rather have a really cool home base following before skipping over to another country. And I think that's sometimes a bit of a cop out on our point, because I think sometimes you just got to make a plunge, right? You know. But yeah, I mean, one day hopefully we can, if we can get onto a tour over there with an Australian band, or just a small spot in a festival or something, like that might be a good way to do it. But at the moment, we're just focusing on recording and getting a bit more traction in New Zealand.
Very nice.
Yeah,
very nice. I mean, I hear Europe's very much doable if you want to take the plunge. So
definitely, man.
Yeah.
Man. Europe would be amazing.
And I think you're doing it there. I had a friend, previous day job coworker, who their band from Australia did a European tour, and they had a great time. But the renting the back line was just brutal. So I think I think with the modeler, you're onto something there. So
Yeah. I actually have two of them. I've got a backup one as well, and they can both fit into a backpack on carry-on, like they're only small. So it's just like if one failed on stage, I can just plug in another one. And
nice. Yeah. Which modeler are you using?
I'm using a Moa. So I've got a GE 250, which is like a tone catcher. It's kind of like a mini Kemper. I mean, they're reasonably priced as well. And I'm lucky enough to have an endorsement through MusicWorks. So
nice.
So I can rep their products. So like Moa, and I use DR strings and the guitars. So that really helps. Sort of with touring and stuff as well. They help me out massively. So they've been a really cool support for our band.
Nice.
Over the years. So yeah,
very cool. Nick was also mentioning MusicWorks when I spoke to him last week.
Nick's a good dude, eh? He is an endorsee as well with MusicWorks. So
I've actually had my eye on Moore has a it's a tube power amp. So I've been looking at one of those because I need something. I'd like it tube driven, but fairly clean for when I want to create speaker IRs.
Oh, yes.
So I have some kind of somewhat unique speakers, and it would be really cool to have some IRs that I can play with those.
Man. I use the Moa Baby Bomb 30-watt power amp on stage. It's just the size of a mini pedal, basically. The little Ibanez, those little tiny little ones. And it chucks out the power, man. They're really cool.
That's awesome. Yeah, I've been looking at a few of those, and then the Electro Harmonics has that whole series. Depending on how much wattage you want, the pedal just gets slightly bigger with each wattage update. So but those would be perfect, I think, because they'll be nice and clean. And when I'm creating speaker IR, I don't necessarily want tube overdrive kicking in, right? So I don't want to hit saturation in the tubes in order to get the IR. I want as clean a signal as I can for the speaker. So
totally, man.
So I've got some big aspirations on that one. That again, one more project for the heap.
Get them on, man.
I've really enjoyed seeing the videos and listening to the album. It's very cool, and I know it's available on all the streaming services, and the video your channel on YouTube is widely available, and set at Lovelands, which is really cool to watch. So how many times have you guys have been videoed at Lovelands? Is that twice or more?
We heaps. I think over COVID we did some live to ears there.
Oh, nice.
So it was with all the distancing stuff, and people couldn't come to gigs, so we went down there twice, I think it was, and set everything up and did live tours, so people could tune in, and we'd just be doing a show. So that was really cool, and we did every show we do there. They record it and live stream it, and that then gets uploaded onto their YouTube channel. So it's great, man. It's cool for people to who can't attend it, to see some live music.
Yeah, for sure. I know I saw at least 2 sets, but I mean, the Lovelands channel is voluminous, let's say. There's a lot of stuff on there.
Man.
And trying to get through it is a lot of fun, because it's there's just so much good stuff that they have up there. So
man, because they do shows once a month, and there'll be 4 bands or 5 bands on the bill, and they'll record them all. So it's just constant rotation. So the guys behind the scenes are just amazing. They put in so much. They're really dedicated people, and it's all done for free. It's a passion for them, but yet they're pumping out some pretty amazing products for the local scene, which is huge credit to them.
Yeah, it's great. It's like New Zealand's version of Austin City Limits. So it's really cool. It's very cool. So, how long has Curly's Jewels have you guys kind of been as a group?
So we started out probably years ago, 2011. Jel, our singer, who's also my partner, she and we got a band together, just an acoustic kind of thing. and just did like covers for about a year and a half ish, and then it's like the originals started to come out, and then we got Corey and Andy on board, the rhythm guys, and I'd known them for years, and been in previous sort of bands and stuff with them, and then we just sort of formed the full band and just went from there, and we're unchanged lineup. So we've been a band for 12 years now and never had a change up, which is, I think that's helped with our dynamic, and we sort of know what each other is about, and whether that's musically or personally, because it can be a mission being in a band, you got everybody's different lifestyles and the way people roll, and you just get to know one another, and
that's a nice long haul too, so that's great with no change ups. That's pretty that's a testament, I think, to the band itself, so I think that's really, really cool. It's fun, man. At the end of the day, we just do it for the enjoyment of it. We're lucky that we've had I guess the success that we have had. I've been lucky enough to tour around the country lots of times and record in amazing studios, and had a couple of songs on sort of commercial radio, which has been huge for us last sort of year or so. Helps build the audience and stuff for us, and we're just lucky, man. That's super cool. Super cool. Do you guys have you guys played festivals? And
we have. We have a fefew over the years. It's hard for rock bands in New Zealand to do like pure rock festivals. Because it's generally, New Zealand's got the sort of the summertime jam kind of vibe, which is epic. It's cool, man. It's part of New Zealand's sort of culture, and got homegrown, and they generally be playing the sort of the more top tier kind of bands, I guess you could say, like your Devil Skins and Sheheads and stuff, and we don't sort of quite fit that, not right sort of that level yet. But the most recent one we played was a new festival called Porirua Rocks. Man, that was epic. That was at Te Rauparaha Stadium in Porirua, so it's a big stage, big venue, massive audience, and that was really cool. Had a bunch of bands, I think 6 or 7 sort of local rock bands, and headlined by Shepherd's Rain.
It looked like quite the lineup. So
bro, it was a really fun event, really well run, and it looks like they're going to be doing it again next year. So hopefully that might be the kickoff of a rock kind of festival to open up some opportunities for local New Zealand bands to sink their teeth into and have the opportunity to play a big stage. So it's fun,
That's super cool.
Often.
Super cool. Okay, let me go with controversy, right? And that would be AI, friend or foe.
Oh man,
sorry, I'm trying to be like all edgy and hip here. No, I'm just kidding.
I hear you. AI, man, is here, and I think it won't go away, and it's something that we need to kind of embrace and hopefully use it correctly. If you know what I mean, like I think
I do.
There's a place for it. I'm not sure about creating music using AI. I'm not a fan of that. I still like the human element. But if AI can help with, on stage performance and stuff like with the technology, then man, I'm all for that. As long as AI doesn't come out and play the guitar for me, I'm happy for it to make the sound good.
I'm in the same boat. I think it's the thing that keeps kind of ringing out in my head is the concept of the robots are supposed to take the jobs we don't want, right? Not the ones we do want. So
totally, man. It's it's a scary place to be. I work in social media in my day job, so and been looking at a whole bunch of stuff with AI in that space, and it's scary what's possible, It's like jeepers creepers.
I actually work in cybersecurity in my day job, so
You'd see it all the time.
Very familiar with some of the concepts of what kind of risks we might be posing and threats we were looking at. So
wow.
So it's always kind of fun to see an intersection of that too, though. And things like I don't know if you've ever tried out the neural amp modeler. It's a free modeler.
No, I haven't.
Yeah.
No, I should.
Yeah, it's
Sounds
a free modeler. It's free plugin for a DAW, for I think pretty much any DAW. And there's, I think, a GitHub repo of like all these people just upload their models that they've created. So there's, I can't remember. I think there's, I could be wrong on this number, so don't quote me. And if anybody wants to leave comments, hate mail, I'm here for that. But I want to say there's like 11,000 models that have been created now that you can use with the modeler, which is super cool. But yeah, that's
amazing.
that's I mean, that neural networking, like I see that as being a huge benefit. Like that's actually really cool, right?
Yeah.
And some of the other tech that I've seen, actually Nick was the one who Granville turned me on to Moises, which I'd never heard before, but it allowed you familiar with it?
I've heard of it. Yeah, I don't know much about it though.
Yeah, it'll basically stem out any track that you have and completely isolate instruments for you. So and even I think with the drum kit you can even isolate out like just play the snare and from just like a track that you have, and it'll actually be able to separate that out really, really well using, again, like neural modeling and AI to do that. So so some of those things are really exciting, right? That's I mean, that kind of world that we're living in now just seems like it's opening all kinds of cool doors for us. So
definitely, man. As long as it's got the human element in there, if it helps like that creation, but if it's like starting to build a song out of like without a human to say, hey, play it like this or whatever, like then it is like, oh shit, man, that's But then again, what does the general public want, eh? And they're the ones, they're the audience, they're the ones who consume the music. And it's up to them at the end of the day, but we've just got to make sure that we keep writing good music, eh?
And I see it too as, a lot of the kids who might just want some dance music, and that's sometimes easily created via something like an AI could pump hit after hit after hit out of those kinds of things out. But I think, and this is a good example, like so I've been carting around vinyl for decades and decades now, and never had a turntable. So I shouldn't say never, but I haven't had a turntable for 30, 40 years probably. And now I've dated myself. But got one and put an album on, and watching my 18-year-old daughter sit down and listen to it and go and just watch her eyes get bigger and bigger, and it's the same music she's listened to digitally, but like hearing it come out of those two stereo speakers without the loudness levels, the LUFS being like completely cranked like you see in most digital tracks, was eye-opening. And like she even made the comment like, why did this ever go out of style? Like why is it's kind of fun to watch some of that I guess both the human element and the wider dynamic range I think actually still has that kind of key core place and for at least human ears. So
absolutely, man. Totally. No, I love vinyl too. I mean, we've got a record player, but we never play it. But we've got a few records there. But we still release our stuff on CD. People still want it. It's like people say, oh, CDs are dated or whatever, but that's what we sell the most of it, like shows and that. People still want them, because they sound so good compared to like listening to some streaming platforms. It's like, oh my God, that's not how we intended it to be listened to. But the reality is it's the only way you can get your music out there to a wide audience these days. But
once you throw an MP3 on a phone and listen to it through the little tiny tinny speakers, anything's gonna sound like a full orchestra kind of thing.
Exactly, right. Yeah,
for sure. But
you
it's
never
so
know.
Surprising how much people are still wanting those CDs specifically. I don't have a CD player in my entire house, so
we don't either. It's crazy, man. Like we've can't even listen to our own music on a CD.
One of my kids is still buying CDs even though no player, just because I have the CD, and it's got a full fold out of Taylor Swift album with lyrics and everything on it. So and that's the novelty of that is still huge. So
it is, man.
So I mean, you can still buy CD players. So if she really wants to, she can. She can grab
Christmas
one.
present.
So, yeah, there we go. Yeah. So that's really cool. And for me personally, and seeing Curly's Jewels, and see you all still up there and playing like really good rock music is important in my opinion. So like it's not just fun and exciting, it's actually important to see like people playing real instruments and putting out really good stuff. So
cheers, man.
Yeah, no, I thank all of you for doing so, because it's just it's really cool. So
man, there's so many bands out there doing it too, like New Zealand's stacked with some amazing talent, and I think it's often the way with the scenes like that we are here, is that people they don't tend to go out as much as probably that they used to, or when they do go out, it'll be to the big international shows, and you can't blame them, because like with money's tight, you got to make your choices and decisions to be able to go out. But what we've come across over the years, and in particular this year, it's like people saying, shit man, we've never heard of you guys before. It's like, we've been in the band for 12 years, and it's like, man, where have you been? It's like, because I've just taken a punt to go out, and it's not just us, it's every other band on the circuit, it just as good as and it's I think people just need to sort of maybe have that thing of, let's go and see something local for a change,
Yeah, and I think I was just talking to my wife, like we're book hoarders. So we actually counted once, and we determined that there's not one room in the house, and we have a separate flat out here that I use for my office and music space. And there's not one room except for the bathrooms in the house that don't have books in them, and the bathrooms are sometimes. There's just books everywhere, and it's like there's no way in my lifetime am I going to be able to probably read all of the books that we have, but maybe they're just my emotional support pile of books, but we've got them. But now I kind of feel like the streaming services are kind of doing the same thing, because I go through like my Netflix list, and there's just a string of things that I'll never get to watch, but they're there, and then sometimes I kind of feel like streaming services may actually take away from going and seeing live performances, because it's easier to come home, make your dinner, and sit on a couch, right? So it's interesting, like the impacts that some of the technology is having, I think, on some of these things. But I really do feel like when some of those people's take the fun and head out and see you all, then it's more impactful for them, and they'll likely start going out more, right? So
that's right, man. And that's as I say, it's people's choices again, and it is a tough time at the moment, financially.
Absolutely.
And we can't expect people to just go and buy all of our t-shirts and things. You got to sort of earn that, and when people do that, it's like it's a huge privilege that people want to invest in that and something that you've created, and that's why we always get a buzz every time somebody buys a t-shirt. We'll talk to them, or someone buys a CD, if they want it signed, absolutely, and you got to really look after people and fans. It's just that they're the ones who make it, make the scene, at the end of the day.
Fantastic. Hey, thanks, Aaron, so much for taking the time to speak. It's been an absolute pleasure, and I definitely hope we can do it again sometime.
Thank you.
Yeah, all the best in the studio and with your writing and the upcoming recordings that you'll be doing. And I'll drop links in the show notes for YouTube channels, streaming links, all the things that I can there. So, got to get the word out there.
Oh, no, I really appreciate it. And thank you so much. It's been, it's been a real pleasure talking to you.
Absolutely.
Definitely catch up again soon. And you have to come down to Lovelands.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm still going to hold you to come into Auckland. So there
awesome,
you go. Buddy. All right. Cool.
Awesome, buddy.
Thanks, man.
Thanks, man.
Talk to you again soon. I'll let you know when it's up.
Awesome. Legendary. See you later, mate.
Thanks. Take care.
Okay. Bye.
Thanks for watching another episode of the Outdoor Guitar Show. Hope you enjoyed the show. Short intro, shorter outro. Make sure you like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. How do you like the reverb in this room? How do you like the reverb in this room? Do you like the reverb in here? It's pretty sick, huh?